I have probably been hearing impaired for a considerable time, but it became more obvious to me that it was getting worse. And so I went first of all to another private concern, fitted me with hearing aids, was not entirely happy with it. So I eventually changed to the NHS, which was fine to start with, but the pressures on the NHS, and that department in particular, were severe, and I didn't really feel that there was much point in going back. The hearing aids were not nearly as good as others that were available, and I didn't really get the testing that I perhaps expected. And then I came to Worcester because of a friend of mine who had been here and said, why don't you try it, because it's a different setup altogether. And I came here and had a big surprise. I suppose the first thing that I noticed was a warm welcome, and then underwent several tests with equipment that I'd never seen before, private or NHS. I went into a soundproof booth that I'd never ever been to before, and all this impressed me that in fact I had stepped up in quality of treatment. Tom was full of explanations, he did thorough examination, and I went away after the first session feeling, yes, I made the right decision to come here because I was going to get proper treatment. Since then, I've had my hearing aids adjusted several times. I've been here because of wax problems. I've seen several members of the team, and everybody treated me in exactly the same way. My treatment has been exactly the same. It has been kind, it's been considerate, it's been utterly professional. And each time it has been no problem. In fact, it's been a joy to come here. Well, I'm very pleased with my hearing aids, but I suppose the other person who is not just pleased with them, but delighted with them, is my wife. Because evidently I have been saying, pardon, lots of times before I had these hearing aids. Sometimes I took courage into my hands and thought that I heard what she said and gave an answer which was totally inappropriate. That was especially difficult in times when there were other people around. What is important, I think, is to remember the constant treatment that one gets, not just to the point of getting the hearing aids, but the after treatment that occurs for the next 18 months, 2 years. But my experience was that I had for the first time realized that you can have hearing aids that improves your hearing to the point of near to normality, and that to me was important. So there is nothing to lose by coming to the Worcester Centre and going through the tests and having the advice, talking to Tom or another member of the team in depth about your hearing. Nothing at all is tying you to a final decision positively to have hearing aids, but it's worthwhile to go through that initial procedure, and I think you might find yourself persuaded. I wanted the latter years of my life, and let's face it, I'm in the middle 80s now, I wanted it to be pleasurable instead of a constant conflict of interacting with the people around me.